Hey you guys, welcome back to another episode of Becoming Secure. This is your host, Emily, dating and a relationship coach, specializing in all things attachment. And also, Stella, my kitten, is here too. You probably won't hear her purring because the recording it's very good about cutting out those noises. However, just know that there's an adorable little kitten next to me purring. So today I'm talking about a question or a question that I hear a lot and that I definitely asked myself when I was dating a lot of emotionally unavailable men back to back. And this was, why is it that I'm so self-aware and yet still attracting these kinds of men? I have worked on myself a lot. Like, why is this still happening? And so today we're going to dive into that. There are a couple main reasons for this, as well as how you can begin to remedy this. So, when I was in my early 20s, I dated almost every type of emotionally unavailable man under the sun. So I've been there. A lot of the guys that I dated would say that they wanted a relationship or act like they wanted one. And then, like 2 to 3 months in, or sometimes it was only a month in, they would realize they're not ready for a relationship or tell me that they're yeah, usually a big one that would come up is that they're not ready or that they can't give me what I want. And it was so confusing and frustrating because I felt like I was so ready. And then it was like, why do I keep encountering these kinds of men? And then I continued or began to work on myself. And, it was almost like the face changed, but the core problems of the kinds of men I was dating were still similar. Like, I got into my first serious relationship after that point, and a lot of things shifted there. But then ultimately, when I realized that that wasn't the right relationship for me either, we weren't compatible. One of the issues is that he was still emotionally unavailable in different ways. And then there were some guys that I dated after that point who were also emotionally unavailable in yet different ways. So even as I continued to work on myself, I experienced this same pattern coming up. It was almost like playing whack-a-mole. Like I would figure out one thing or some signs that someone was emotionally unavailable. I would work through that, kind of remedy that, and then I would see it pop up in another way. And so one of the things that really made the key difference for me in shifting this pattern is what a lot of women don't do. You may not need to do more healing work. Now, I say this knowing that healing is kind of a lifelong journey. Like we're always going to be healing and growing, especially if you have a value of growth and a growth mindset. But the thing you might need to shift this pattern is likely the skill set of just knowing how to vet for red flags and how to vet for emotional unavailability specifically. And this is something that we are not taught, right? If you didn't have healthy models for relationships growing up, you're going to struggle with this. Or even if you maybe had pretty good models for relationships, but you go out into the dating pool where we do just have so many people with so much trauma and so many insecure attachment styles, it can be a little confusing, or you may not realize certain things are potentially problematic because you really have to become almost like a mini psychologist these days to learn how to vet effectively. And then there's that percentage of people who are securely attached, and some of these things are just so intuitive to them. So, love you guys. Love that for you. That was not me, and that's not probably those of you listening to the podcast now. So, this skill set of learning how to vet is going to allow you to really see the signs of emotional unavailability early and stay more grounded. So, a lot of the experience of dating people who are emotionally unavailable is that it feels really amazing and then the ending comes out of nowhere, right? It almost feels like you're blindsided because it really feels like you're in a relationship. It feels really great. Um, you maybe feel like you have amazing chemistry or a great connection, and then it's like, whoa, I'm not ready for anything serious. So it really feels like it comes out of nowhere. There are a couple of reasons that it can feel this way, but when you learn this skill set, you stop feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm on cloud nine, things are amazing. You're just swept up in this whirlwind, and you're able to stay grounded a little bit more. This doesn't mean that you don't enjoy the dating process. If anything, you didn't enjoy it more because you aren't kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. You can actually see things as you go along, and then you don't feel, you don't feel blindsided at the end. It probably feels like, oh no, I could see these signs along the way, so this makes sense. Or you're catching signs of emotional unavailability early, and you actually in the connection before you even hear the other person say, oh, maybe I can't give you what you want. So when you start to learn this skill set, which is something that I teach in the Art of Secure Dating, and if you work with me one-on-one, you'll learn some different pieces of this skill set too. But in the Art of Secure Dating, this is like the main thing that we focus on. You will stop feeling like you're just guessing or just hoping that it works out. So one thing that I want you to understand is that finding a guy who's emotionally available is really not luck. And especially if this is a pattern that you've been going through. If you are experiencing this pattern, you're going to end up doing what I did, where it was like whack-a-mole, where it's all these guys with like different faces and slightly different versions of the same problem until you kind of learn this skill set. I have clients who are in like their late 20s, and then I also have clients who are in their late 60s. So I say with a lot of confidence that this really is something you need to learn. Otherwise, you may repeat this pattern for decades. People do. And, we can learn along the way, right? We can learn from our experiences. That's super important to do. But you can also speed up the process a lot quicker if you just learn the skill set. Another thing you can do also, I have a free masterclass that you can access in the show notes or in the info, the bio, if you're watching this on YouTube, that talks about some of the common types of emotionally unavailable men so that you can learn those signs. So that can help you a lot with starting to vet for this. And that's just called How to Attract Emotionally Available Men, that masterclass. Once again, you can find it in the show notes or in the bio. So it's not about luck. It's really about learning how to vet properly, which means that you don't have to go around blindly just hoping things work out. And instead, you can feel a lot more empowered in the dating process. I can, say for sure that that's how I feel now. I don't feel like I'm just guessing. I don't feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop to see whether they're emotionally available or not. And I see my friends dating too, and I'm talking to them about their experiences and helping them see things. And it just helps them stay so much more grounded and not run away with things. I had a conversation with my roommate literally yesterday, and she's like, oh my gosh, I feel like my attachment is starting to go crazy with this guy that I'm a few weeks into seeing. It seems like it's going well, but she was kind of doing the anxious thing and then swinging to the avoidant thing because she's also a fearful avoidant. And I like coached her through it, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I feel grounded now. Like this is this is what I needed to hear." So it can literally be like once you learn how to do this, you can shift almost immediately like that. I sent her a voice note and she was like, "Oh, okay, I'm good now." So you can coach yourself through that, and it can literally take a few minutes and you can be back to feeling like your normal self again. So let's talk about another facet of this, which is how amazing it feels when you're with someone who is emotionally unavailable. And how you may be very emotionally intelligent, you've done some work on yourself, and yet maybe you feel like you miss the red flags or the signs of that person being emotionally unavailable, right? So I see this particular dynamic happen almost every time. I saw it happen with me, I've seen it happen with friends, and I see it happen with clients. There's a dog barking outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's definitely going to distract me. So fingers crossed I can get through this next thought in a coherent way. Okay, so when you are dating someone and it feels amazing, one of the big reasons that it feels so good and that you're overlooking red flags in the process, these things go together, is that they are validating something for you. See if you start to reflect on some of these experiences. What was that person validating for you who was emotionally unavailable and whose red flags you missed? And it might not just be, oh, they're like making me feel special or wanted. It could be things like that. Sometimes it's really specific. I had a client recently, like just this past weekend, she had been seeing a guy. Same thing. He turned out to be emotionally unavailable. And we talked through it, and I helped her see some things she had missed. And there were a lot of signs that were there, all the signs. Like, so that's where I say you don't have to feel blindsided when you know what to look for. Because once we went back through it, she was like, oh my gosh, there were so many signs. I just didn't really realize that's what I needed to look for, which is, why we're working together, why I'm helping her out. Okay, so I asked her, was there anything about this guy that really validated you? And she was like, oh my gosh, I had never thought that I could be with someone who was so smart, like book smart, right? He wasn't the most emotionally intelligent, but very book smart, traditionally intelligent, and who was so successful. And it just like clicked for her that that is why she had really held on to this connection and kind of downplayed some of the red flags. And I know that this has happened for me and a lot of my friends, where sometimes we start dating someone who's like the most attractive person that we've ever dated. Or maybe it's that the person who's that attractive finds you attractive, and that feels like, oh my gosh, someone who's actually super attractive thinks I'm attractive too. And maybe there are beliefs like you're going to have to settle for someone that you're not attracted to, or insecurities about how attractive you are. And so being with someone that you find super attractive, just it's like, oh my gosh, this feels like the best thing ever, right? Super, super validating. I've absolutely had both of those experiences. The one where, they were super attractive to me, and then also the one where it was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so successful. And even one time I bounced from one emotionally unavailable guy to the next. And I found someone who was kind of similar to the previous guy. And because it was like, oh, I got all the good parts of the previous guy and more with this one, it felt extra validating, and then it felt extra blindsiding when it ended. So this is something that I want you to reflect on. Just go through, what was this person validating for you? And this is part of why love bombing can be hard to catch, because if it feels really validating, you want to believe it. It's hard to just kind of let it roll off your shoulders and not think too much of it, or to even catch that it feels like too much, because maybe it doesn't feel like too much. It feels like what you've always wanted that no one else has given you, right? That's why we fall for love bombing in a nutshell. And so this is where, once again, if you really learn to vet and see emotional unavailability and the signs of it as the red flags that they are, it kind of helps maybe temper some of that connection that feels so good when they're validating you. Because you're like, okay, I'm seeing these things and I can't just downplay them. I can't just let them go by the wayside because he's validating me in all these other ways. I have to actually take these things seriously, because sometimes we need someone to just tell us. I think most of the time we don't. People are like, if they're abusive, if they cheat, if they lie, you can leave. Those are red flags. But I don't think we actually take the red flags of emotional unavailability as seriously as we should. When I talk to clients who have just come out of these experiences, they know the signs are there. They just don't realize that they need to take them seriously, or they don't realize how big of a deal it was. It was like, yeah, I could see it. He did that. But again, they don't connect it to, oh, that's a full stop right there. That means you should end the connection. And so then they just let it go and go and go until the guy ends it because he's emotionally unavailable. So, a couple of things that I want you guys to think about. Again, just a little recap. You might just need to learn the skill set, and also think about, is this situation validating something for me? And maybe that's why, even though you're very emotionally intelligent and you can see a lot of these things, you're still overlooking them. You're still tolerating certain things. Couple things. There's obviously going to be more to this. You may be in the party where you do need to do a bit more healing. One of the things that I think is like confusing, and also you could say it's a hard pill to swallow, but I don't even think it's that. I think it's just confusing to wrap your mind around, is the recognition that if you are attracting emotionally unavailable people, you are also emotionally unavailable in some ways. And let me break that down for a second. That could mean you are unavailable to the parts of yourself that don't feel good enough, that don't feel worthy, to the emotions you have that you think are too much. It could be these different parts of you that you have rejected. And so you are, again, feeling that validation from someone else because you haven't accepted and integrated that part of you. That's one way that it could look. That is kind of what helped me see a little bit of it. And another thing that you can begin to explore is where some of it's the avoidance side of your attachment. And a lot of people who think they're anxiously attached are actually fearful avoidance and have an avoidance side too. It's just that when you're chasing unavailable people, you're feeling more anxious because they're out of reach. And then when you're with available people, it feels like too much or it feels confronting. And so there's kind of a pushing away. So if you're always in the chasing seat, it may be that there's an avoidance side to your attachment where you're actually also pushing away or rejecting what is available. And there may be a part of you that's like, I don't even see guys that are available. I'm not even fully aware of that. And if you feel that way, go listen to the episode, Where Are All the Good Men? I think it's the one just previous to this, because I talk a bit about why that happens. It has to do with your subconscious mind. Like if you don't believe on a subconscious level that you deserve men who are healthy and emotionally available or that they exist, then your brain literally filters them out of your awareness. It's crazy how the subconscious mind works. So you may have some of these avoidant parts of your attachment, and that also makes you unavailable to healthy, secure love, right? Like you are emotionally unavailable in the sense that available love is not even on your radar. The people that you're seeing and that are in your awareness are always the ones who are unavailable for some reason. So there's a few ways that you can kind of think about it. Maybe I'll do another episode on that to go a little bit deeper, but just a few things that I want you to chew on. I want you to kind of mull over. And if you are wanting to learn how to vet, to be able to spot red flags before you get attached so that you're not blindsided. And this includes signs of emotional unavailability as well as other red flags. And if you want to feel more secure as you are attaching, so if you're anxious and you attach really quickly and you want to be able to slow things down and feel more grounded, or maybe you have that avoidance side and you end up pushing away or sabotaging connections, maybe like running a little bit, if you want to feel like you can attach more securely instead of doing that. And if at the end of the day you want to be able to attract a man who is emotionally available, then the Art of Secure Dating would be a really great program for you. We just opened enrollment for this again, and we start in, I think it's like a week and a half, mid-June. So you can apply for that via the link below. This is the program that Anna, Eve, and I run together. It's so much fun. So it's a 6-week program for, the woman who is successful, established in her career. You've got great friends. You have a lot of things going for you. It's just the dating aspect of your life is not quite where you want it to be. And you're like, I'm ready for my man. So I'm ready to attract someone who's emotionally available and someone who's not afraid to go deep, who will stick it out when things get tough, who's ready to build something real, something genuine, something with depth and something healthy with you, something that's lasting. If that is you, we would love to have you join Art of Secure Dating. And if you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram at Emily A. Dini, D-I-N-I. And you can also submit an application and I'll reach out to you and talk to you personally anyway. So if you have any questions, you can put it on your application and I'm happy to answer those with you. So, all right, looking forward to seeing some of you in the Art of Secure Dating. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day and good luck on your journey towards becoming more secure. Bye.